The #1 cause of death for adults 18 to 49, fentanyl. Don't think for a second China doesn't know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing in sending it. We need to call them out. We need to sanction them over it because there's nothing they want that they hate worse than having us hit their wallets. And then we need to go after the cartels. The cartels are either trafficking money or they're trafficking drugs. We need to get our special operation units to treat them like the terrorists that they are.
The campaign for the Republican presidential nomination is in full swing. In New Hampshire, where the first Republican primary will take place, former Massachusetts Senator and former U.S. Ambassador to New Zealand, Scott Brown, is holding his famous backyard barbecue with presidential candidates, most recently with former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Senator Brown is Centerpoint's newest contributor, and here's his interview with Governor Haley.
Hello, I'm Scott Brown. We're in Rye, New Hampshire, and I'm with Ambassador/Governor Nikki Haley. I'm doing this report for Trinity Broadcast Network. Governor, first of all, welcome to New Hampshire. One of the questions I thought was asked a couple of times directly and indirectly was obviously President Trump, he's up in the polls. What are your thoughts as to how you're going to win New Hampshire and ultimately win the general and beat him in the primary?
I think, first of all, you have to look at the fact that national polls really don't mean anything right now. You know, it's how are you doing in Iowa? How are you doing in New Hampshire? How are you doing in South Carolina? And so we are slow and steady wins the race. You know, President Trump will run his race. I'll run mine. You know, there are many things that he has done that I agree with. I was proud to serve in his administration.
As was I.
But absolutely, but our approach is different. And so I have said we need to have a new generational leader. We've got new problems. We need new solutions. We need to leave the negativity and the baggage behind. And there are differences between me and President Trump. You know, he thinks January 6th was a beautiful day. I think it was a terrible day. He doesn't think that we need to be doing anything with Ukraine and Russia. I think a Ukrainian win is good for our national security. You know, he has been spending a lot, and we've seen that. I'm an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. I think our kids are never going to forgive us for the spending that's happened, and we need to put Republicans and Democrats on notice that they've got to stop this reckless spending.
People think of the southern border, but we in New Hampshire, we have the northern border. And that border is basically as porous as the one down south because all the agents have gone from there down to south to supposedly help. What is the key to stopping what's happening? Is it building a wall? Is it keeping them in Mexico? Is it a combination? What would you do as president?
I think, first of all, it's a dereliction of duty. I mean, if you look, I'm the only candidate that actually went to the border. I went 400 miles across that border, and what I saw was unthinkable. I mean, the idea that ranchers go out every morning to see if someone died crossing the fence. They pick up the kids that were left behind, turn them over to Border Patrol. When I talked to sheriffs, they said they round up illegal immigrants, turn them over to Border Patrol, and Border Patrol documents them and releases them until their court date years from now. And when you ask Border Patrol what they do, they say they're glorified babysitters. No one lets them do their job. So what we will do is we'll stop the bleeding. When I was governor, we passed one of the toughest illegal immigration laws in the country. We did a mandatory E-Verify program that said businesses had to show that everyone they hired was here legally. We'll do a national E-Verify program. We will defund sanctuary cities. We will go back to remain in Mexico because nobody wants to stay in Mexico. We'll keep the provisions of Title 42, and instead of catch and release, we'll go to catch and deport. That's how we'll deal with it once and for all.
How do you deal with the fentanyl problem that's affecting, every class, every person, name, rank, serial numbers, every race, color, creed, that everybody's being affected, families, everybody?
We've had enough fentanyl cross the border that would kill every single American last year. The #1 cause of death for adults 18 to 49, fentanyl. Don't think for a second China doesn't know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing in sending it. We need to call them out. We need to sanction them over it because there's nothing they want that they hate worse than having us hit their wallets. And then we need to go after the cartels. The cartels are either trafficking money or they're trafficking drugs. We need to get our special operation units to treat them like the terrorists that they are and knock them out. We've got to start saving Americans and stop taking care of these illegal immigrants that are causing all the problems.
I know there was a couple of questions about the debt. Obviously, when I was there, it was $9 trillion, and now it's $32 almost trillion. What specifically do you think you can do with the tools that you would have as president to address this very, very serious problem?
I mean, first acknowledge how we got here. I mean, almost $32 trillion in debt, the fact that we're borrowing money to make our interest payments. Yes, it's easy for us to hit on Biden, but our Republicans did that too. It goes back to that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill that expanded welfare. It passed 419 to 6 in the House, 96 to 0 in the Senate. And now you've got 90 million Americans on Medicaid, 42 million on food stamps. Social Security will go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare will go bankrupt in 5. So the first thing you do is stop the spending. They say Republicans and Democrats don't agree on anything. They love to waste our money. Stop the spending. And instead of Republicans fixing the situation, they double down and open up earmarks for the first time. 7,000 they sent across in December. Stop the spending, stop the earmarks, stop the borrowing. I will veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels. We've got to start dealing with the spending and the debt that we're dealing with because it's a national security issue.
All right. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thanks so much.
It's great
Good to see you.
Good luck. Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
And our thanks to our newest contributor, Senator Ambassador Scott Brown.